So I'm recording this because I gotta be better about things. I'm currently catching up with the seasonal animes. I'm almost done with everything that's not a sequel. Just got a couple things left. Wrapping up on Meiji Tokyo Renka, and it's really nice. I like it a lot. I generally like shoujo as a whole. I like the tropes of it. And I got like two video ideas just watching this one show. One of which is for a video that I definitely plan to do down the line, but it's going to require me watching some more shoujo because it would be a broad topic video. I've already seen quite a bit of shoujo, I would say. Definitely way more than any shonen I've seen. But I do want to catch some of the like very definitive shoujo works that I haven't seen or haven't read and just become more well versed in the genre before I try and make any type of broad statements about it, because I do have this observation that I want to talk about, but I want to make sure this observation isn't just, you know, selection bias. Um, so there's that, which is, if I manage to get on top of that, hopefully will come out maybe next year or late this year, probably next year. Um, and then this is what I'm going to be talking about here because I really need to work on other videos that are supposed to be coming out instead of procrastinating by making videos. As you can see by my past three videos on seasonal, or rather four if you count the live stream on seasonal anime, I'm kind of procrastinating on working on my big anime-gataris video. So I just want to get out these thoughts while they're fresh in my mind so that I don't feel compelled to write a script and make a whole video. And that is Meiji Tokyo Renka. And essentially, the show follows this girl. She gets transported back in time, picked up by this Bishonen prince dude, and she's a Tamayori. Like, she can see ghosts and spirits, and essentially this ended up with her being ostracized where in her original time period because like people thought she was weird, and now she's coming and learning to connect with people again, and it's a little less weird because, you know, magic and stuff is more accepted in this time period, which is the Meiji era. Right as like Japan is being more westernized, so it's a cool aesthetic the era. And one of the aspects of it is that there's two arcs in particular where she's like helping people deal with ghosts. And these ghosts specifically are related to some hang up from their past. In one case, it's an author dude who, like, he befriended this ghost, this spirit, but then when she showed him her true self, he was afraid, so she disappeared. And then he later had an accident and it injured his eye, and now he can't see spirits anymore. And so he feels, and then all these like paranormal activities are happening around that are endangering his life, and so he feels like she's angry at him and is trying to get back, and so he wants to, but he's like just feels really bad about it. And then in the second case, this is kind of a spoiler, but uh, I don't think it's that big a deal. But if you care, that's your heads up. In the second arc, it's the prince dude who is the sort of love interest for our main character, and he is trying to write the story because originally he went to study in America on as like an advocate of Japan and to help the Japanese government. And then he falls in love with this girl there, but ends up returning to Japan because no one approved of their relationship, and he ultimately felt more obligation to his country. But he, you know, has mixed feelings about that and regrets his decision. And he's so the spirit of this girl is hovering over him and preventing him from writing this story about this experience, which he wants to do so that he can get over these emotions and move on into future relationships. And in both cases, it's interesting because it depicts this initial sort of negative hang up, which is subverted into a less negative reality. So in the first example, right, we think, oh, she's angry at him, she's trying to kill him. What it turns out is that because of the red moon, like this very powerful full moon, she has just been imbued with a lot of power. This whole time she's stayed by his side, and she's trying to communicate with him, but she doesn't know how to handle her power, and as such has been causing events that endanger his life. It's not intentional, it's accidental. In the second case, it seems more that she wants him to write rather than she necessarily wants him to stop. And it's a matter of perception. Like initially he sees her resting her hand on his when he's trying to write, and he's like, "You're not gonna let me write, are you? You're gonna stop me again." But then in the conclusion of the episode, he's going to write when the girl, the main character, comes and encourages him, and this time the color palette's fresh and you can see a smile on her face as she like is gently has her hand on his like before, and it feels more like a encouragement. Yes, write this, tell your story, move on, it's important. And so what I find interesting about this depiction is what it sort of says about the way we respond to trauma and to events, and how it like, because each of these ghosts essentially is acting like a metaphorical representation of the trauma itself. It's a literal embodiment of that concept and how it affects them emotionally. And what I like is that it shows that, the reason our minds do this to us, it's not, it's a self-defense mechanism. Like, it's not inherently negative that we have these emotions and that we have these responses. And the way we deal with it sometimes needs some adjustment in our mindset, but it's not always it totally negative or totally bad. So in the case of this, like, you see that it's really a matter of perception, and that by looking at it through a different lens, you can find this more positive, this more enlightening angle, rather than the memories of the past preventing one from moving on. You can use the memories of the past to propel you to move on into the future, rather than these events hindering you. They can help you. And I like that it's this understanding of how the past, getting hung up on mistakes and stuff, does affect us negatively, but that the fact is it's that it depicts the same things from different perspectives, and it's not necessarily like the events themselves are changing. It's rather that simply the perception of the same thing, how drastically that can change your mindset simply by that perception being changed. So it's pretty neat. I like that angle. I like the way it presents it. Generally, like, that is an aspect with these creatures, even when it's not necessarily with regard to their haunting any one person, is that they are more nuanced than they are thought to be. That they have their own emotional sort of sides and complexities, and in such are, a reflection of humanity. And it's a pretty interesting depiction, and I like it. And yeah, that's cool. Watch Meiji Tokyo Renka. It's a nice show.